And now, please welcome to the stage, Vic Barrett.
Hi, all you guys. Vic Barrett Nidibe Garifuna Nguya. That basically means my name is Vic Barrett. I'm Garifuna. I'm a first-generation American, and basically the Garifuna are an indigenous people that live on the northern coast of Honduras, and that's where my family is from. I started my journey into climate change 9 years ago when I was 14. So if we're doing the math right, I think I'm 23, I'm pretty sure. But I started that journey through the lens of climate justice, through recognizing that my identities were inherently intertwined with the undeniable, I hope, and worldwide understood, we'd hope, and, consensus that climate change disproportionately impacts certain communities, believe it or not. That could be a whole other talk, and if you have more questions about that, you could find me. I'll recommend some books, maybe explain it to you. But my first campaign that I ever worked on when I was 14 years old was to mandate climate education in New York City public schools. Basically working with my peers and realizing, like, you know, the 10 of us might be here getting free Metro cards and free pizza, but if we want to get our peers to join us in working towards building campaigns that mitigate the climate crisis, they need to know what the climate crisis is and how it affects them. And since then, since doing that work when I was 14, 9 years ago, I've attended a bunch of COP conferences. I've sued the US federal government as part of Juliana versus United States. Just to say, I'm very aware of institutions and how they work. And even as I've grown more skeptical of the change that can be made through institutions and within certain systems, I've never let go in my faith of other young people, and I've never let go of my faith in education, and I've never let go of my faith in my peers and our ability to actually make a massive amount of difference when we work together. So why I'm here is the Aspen Institute invited me to join the K-12 Climate Action Initiative, basically an initiative to use the educational sector as a force for climate action. And I knew I wanted to be involved. It felt like a very circular moment to know that where I started was working on climate education, and what I could be working on right now is climate education. So we have a bipartisan commission that's come together, a group of educators, environmentalists, civil rights leaders, the whole basket, recognizing the urgency of climate change and the need for education to determine its role in part of the solution. So over the course of the year, as a commission, we've had amazing commissioners. Carlos was one of our commissioners who just spoke up here and gave a really amazing talk. We held a listening tour. We heard from students, parents, educators, administrators, and more about the need to support schools in advancing climate solutions and the incredible work going on across the country in terms of trying to get young people more literate in what climate change is and how we can face it. Schools are among the largest consumers of energy in the public sector. We have 480,000 school buses across the country. Our schools operate the largest mass transit fleet in the country. And they also serve 7 billion meals each year. And you know, I'm sure all of you know that adds up to a lot of emissions. But also at the end of the day, schools are where young people spend most of their time. Schools are where young people learn what community is. The cafeteria is where young people learn what community is. And so it's important that we're reaching students where they're at. There's an incredible opportunity to support our schools in taking action on climate change when we consider the fact that, you know, after all those numbers I just gave to you, when schools adapt and transition to clean energy and adapt to climate impacts, they teach students about climate solutions firsthand. And these are the same students that we tend to praise when hundreds of thousands of us show up in the streets or show up in front of our city halls, and when the media says that we're the future. Those are those same students, and so we need to be fostering them. We need to be making sure that they actually are getting the intergenerational assistance that they need, and schools are the best place that we can make that happen. The fact is, students in Miami probably already know that they're at the ground zero for climate change. But what are we going to do about that? Are they just going to sit with that knowledge? Are they just going to let that knowledge fester? Or are we going to let them know how they can make a difference about it? So this past fall, our commission has released an action plan for policy recommendations to support our schools in this work. And we envision a future where the hundreds of thousands of schools that exist in the United States are actually beacons for climate action. And I think a lot of young people envision that future as well. So it's really time for us to step up, and it's really time for our students to know that they're the future and for us to encourage that. And I'm really appreciative of the Aspen Institute for creating an environment where we can actually talk about that and make sure that that happens. Because if you're going to pat the young person you know on the back and say you're going to change the world, it would be really nice if you would help. Thank you.